Hello guys, I'm back and I'm turning my Game Jam game into a Metroidvania. Okay, if you guys are followers of this channel, you know that I'm currently developing an Archer game. And yeah, now that goes straight to the trash bin. I'm just kidding. But an important question is, why start a new project? I know it's basically a game dev meme at this point where you make a project, get tired of it, start a side project and make it your new main project, and the cycle continues. Well, for my case, I wanted to downscale. I think I'm constantly getting better at doing pixel art, but the resolution and palette I picked initially was way too complex for me to make consistently decent art with. So I decided to continue my GMTK Game Jam submission. It had a monochromatic art style that I think in the long run would save me tons of time when making assets. I also mentioned that I wanted to make a Metroidvania. I know that choice may be a bit contradicting based on what I said earlier because Metroidvanias always had not only big worlds to explore, but the world should always be designed properly so that the player can traverse through it back and forth, essentially doubling its complexity. But that's where constant research will come in. There are multiple successful short Metroidvanias out there and I will try my best to take pages out of their books. At the end of the day, I just really love playing Hollow Knight and I wanted to make a game that I wanted to at least want to play since I'm going to be testing it myself a lot and just overall enjoy the game dev process. And yeah, that reminds me, I want to know what are your guys' favorite game genre, and if it's a Metroidvania, what's your favorite Metroidvania game? Let me know in the comments down below. Well, for me, I love farm sims. But okay, let's get back to the topic. All of that is good and all, but where did I even start? Well, I revamped the assets. No, I'm just kidding. That actually took a lot of time, but the progress is definitely more efficient time-wise just because I downscaled my art. So to start, I did some mockups. I made a couple of versions of my main character because most of the time it's always best to choose between a couple of ideas because the first idea or concept may not always be the best. So after deciding on the final version of my newly upscaled Polearm Master, which by the way I think I'm calling this game Polearm Master because where is my pole sounds like a scuffed mobile puzzle game. So yeah, moving on with the animations, I started with the idle animation, and because this time I'm only using a limited palette, I decided to incorporate more moving parts such as his glorious hair. And yeah, after finishing the idle animation, I made sure to check how the animations would look like on the game itself. And yeah, oh wait, hold on, there, no sweat. For the throwing animations, I tried my very best to incorporate motion blur. It can help in making the movement more fluid and also gives a lot of weight and speed just by adding a couple of frames. I also made sure to allot frames for the attack and the return, and I inserted one anticipation frame in there because having too much can give the players a feeling of input lag. After that, I checked it on the actual game and I encountered a bug which I'm glad that I was able to see early on while updating the assets. This bug is caused due to the varying canvas sizes between the animations. So instead of manually adjusting each and every sprite on the game engine, I just made the canvas sizes uniform for all the animation sprites. The next animations were quite simple but very quirky, and I was really proud of them. But these two animations were one of the hardest ones to do. They both needed to convey a spinning motion, in which in pixel art you can just simply animate a rotating object by just moving it clockwise or counterclockwise. For it not to feel off, it is recommended to incorporate fake motion blur, and I felt very happy after finishing these two. And this is what they all look like when you put them together in the game. And yeah, okay, I broke my game again. I think at this point, the polearm has had enough. The Polearm Master can't even control his pole, and I tried multiple fixes but the polearm doesn't even care anymore. But eventually I was able to fix everything, and now the animations are looking fine. For the next step, I decided that I wanted to spruce up the environment, and yeah, this is how it looks like after finishing. Okay, I'm sorry, that was not quick at all. Switching to a more simpler palette really shortened my time in creating the assets, but that doesn't remove the fact that I still struggled. I made this tree for 2 days. One day for the tree itself and another day for painstakingly animating every leaf because apparently I have animated grass that is swaying with the wind, and having a tree that looks so stiff looks incredibly sus. And in the end, it didn't even look that good. But it's fine, it's fine. But anyways, now I'm just placing stuff randomly, feeling out how the world will look like But more importantly, now I have learned how to use tile maps and will come in handy when designing the world later on. I also decided to knock off the sound sliders task I had collecting dust in my task board. It was long overdue because the music in my game is very faint. I was very careful during the game jam to not make it too loud. Instead, I made it too soft. I didn't really provide a way for the player to adjust the sounds. I initially thought that this was hard, but this was relatively easy to do because Godot had appropriate nodes and features for this problem. This shows how Godot is truly a wonderful game engine and is more than enough to make complete games on. Basically, I just used the default sliders and used them to manipulate the audio buses in Godot. Then I adjusted the bus of every sound file I used, so like if it's meant as a background music, it goes into the music bus, something like that. I also made a pause menu while I was at it because I kinda can't go back to the main menu while I'm in game. I can only press Alt F4, which I think was a huge nuisance for those who tried out my game. So yeah, that's my current progress, and once again I would like to thank you guys for always supporting my channel. I appreciate the regular commenters a lot, and if you have suggestions for the game, you can always say it in the comment section. And if you enjoyed watching or learned something out of the video, I would really appreciate if you could drop a like. I also regularly post on my Twitter with the game's progress, so if you're interested, you could also follow me there. So yeah, once again, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next one.